In the quiet woods of Newport Richey, Florida, an experiment in living with nature is quietly taking root, away from the noise and bustle of the online world. At the center stands Ryan RPG Golembesk, a man whose journey began in childhood with a mysterious figure in the Maine woods, an encounter that left behind more wonder than fear. Instead of chasing spectacle, Ryan carried his question into adulthood, choosing to see the unknown not as a threat, but as a reminder of nature's mysteries. Years spent tracking shadows and listening to witnesses led him to a deeper belief. What if Bigfoot isn't a monster, but a guardian or steward of the wild? Ryan tells us, the creatures we fear may not mean us harm. Sometimes the fear is ours alone, projected onto what we don't understand. He invites us to drop our assumptions and truly listen, to the land, to the silence, and to the possibilities hiding between the trees. On 5 acres of Florida earth, he and his collaborators nurture the Bigfoot food forest, a living model for a new relationship with our environment. Here, fruit trees and raised beds flourish, demonstrating that abundance is grown through connection, not extraction. This is permaculture in practice, cultivating relationships between people, plants, and the living world around them. Community gatherings and experiments in contact draw curious souls together. This is not about escaping society, but reimagining it, rooted in reciprocity. Off-grid living for Ryan is not about isolation. It's about weaving ourselves back into the intricate web of life that modern living too often forgets. He calls his work remembering, restoring our place within the community of the forest, and honoring the old intelligence that endures in every shadow. In the Bigfoot food forest, revolution is not loud or flashy. Here, change grows slowly, patient as trees, grounded in care and wonder for what thrives just out of sight.
Well, when you go look for Bigfoot in the woods, when you go into a haunted house, when you dive into deep, dark water, you get a rush that for some of us becomes highly addicting. And I've basically been pursuing that my whole life. It's like a healthy, the pursuit of Bigfoot, who I believe is the ultimate nature steward and role model for getting back to simpler ways of living, which are wildly complex as well, but just an easier life. We don't have to, but we should get back to where everything is equal. There is no life that has less value than ours.
Welcome to today's interview here on brightvideos.com. I've got a really intriguing topic for you today because our guest, Ryan Golembeski, he combines the world of cryptozoology, Bigfoot, and other creatures that maybe aren't highly recognized, with the worlds of permaculture and off-grid self-reliance. Now, he's a military veteran, an adventurer, an activist, just all-around intriguing guy. So welcome to the show, Ryan. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, I can't believe I made it to the big stage where people are using their platform for good. God bless you, sir. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you. That's what we always try to do here. We want to help educate people, uplift people, give them practical knowledge and skills, and bypass all the, the narratives and the bullshit of the mainstream corporate media. So welcome. Mm-hmm. Let me give out your website here, bigfootflorida.com. Now,
yes, sir.
You have the Bigfoot Nature Fellowship. You've got the Bigfoot Food Forest that you're building, I understand. Can you give our audience, this is the first time we've ever had you on, give our audience a little bit of background of what you're up to.
Yeah. Before we dive too much into me, that Bigfoot Fellowship and Food Forest, we wanted to create a place that, imagine when you left someplace, you literally feel better spiritually, emotionally, and physically. You just feel great. It's like how you're supposed to feel when you leave church or synagogue or a family gathering. We're building that here in Newport Richey, Florida. So anyone local or would like to check it out, please consider a little trip. 5 acres on the river. It's like Swiss Family Robinson meets Florida Pirates. It's really awesome. Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay. So people can book a visit and an experience.
Well, there. We're working toward that. We're developing it. So if you come now, you'd be a part of the adventure. You'd be a part of the beginning of all of this. We've had a frost. We had a flood come through. Florida will turn you into a real pioneering man or woman. So we've made every mistake possible, but the beauty of passion and true grit is that none of it stops you, and you just get smarter every go around. So we're getting it this time. We're on point. But anyway, so to your audience, first of all, thank you. This is an honor. I won't fanboy too much, but I greatly appreciate what you do. And I followed enough of your journey to understand that you've run into your own potholes and stoppers, and your perseverance and grit has kept you moving forward. So,
yeah, this world doesn't want people like us to succeed at all. They want cookie cutter people, fit the box, be an NPC. But if you start to question reality, oh my goodness, right? And you're doing that in a big way with Bigfoot. So we're talking about cryptozoology, and you're not doing this as a joke. You have actually had what you say is an encounter with one of these beings. Can you give us the whole background of your interaction with Bigfoot?
Absolutely. So I grew up a military brat, or there's a wonderful book for other people that have grown up that way or moved a lot growing up called Third Culture Kids. That is a gift to you. Read that. It'll be like staring in the mirror. Prepare yourself. There will be tears. But yeah, we moved all over. And at one point in our adventure, my father had been stationed in Bath, Maine, in the Coast Guard. And of course, my mom was like, I'm never moving to Maine. We live in Rhode Island. Maine is, I don't want to go there. And then we moved there. And 2 years later, I'm never leaving Maine. Maine is the greatest place ever. Why are we leaving? You know how the heart does that to you. But in the beginning, we were driving back and forth on the weekends to visit and see Papa. And on one particular time, we were coming back. I was 9 or 10. And as we're driving, I'm like annoying my mom. This is before seatbelts became a real deal thing. So, I was free floating like an electron back there. And my mom's a librarian, so my head was filled with all this useless information, or I would say kind of useful in a way, because come to find out years later, I was actually keeping her awake on this long drive home. But that's another story.
So you did serve an important purpose. Okay.
I did, but you didn't know. I thought I was just being annoying because that's what everyone tells me I am. But no, I am helpful. And so I'm like, hey, Ma, you know that hippopotamuses use flatulence to regulate their buoyancy? Just ridiculous facts to her. And then in the middle of this wild diatribe, I look back, and up on one of those cliffs, how they like kind of blow a hill out, and so you just have the two sides are up. Well, I look up, and there's something standing there, and it's just standing there, and it's this black silhouetted kind of shadow, the way the lights of the freeway were hitting it. It was just, and at first I thought, oh, that's a billboard, but it's not too big, to be a billboard, and it's kind of weird. It's just like a black cutout, and it looks kind of, what is it, a bear? And you're processing this all at a fast speed, and then right when I go back to be like, they fart out of their mouths too, Mom, it turned and walked back into the woods. Wow. And I was like, what? And now, even as a kid, even at that point in my life, having no reference to relic hominids or Bigfoot, Sasquatch, skunk ape, there was something about it. When something primitive or primordial, like it resonated instinctively with me, not just a passing image. And it walked back in. And once again, that's my imagination. You're talking about hippopotamuses farting, and now you're seeing, giant bears in the woods or whatever. Calm down, Ryan. Years later, Mom brings me home this book from this Time Life series, Mysterious Encounters. And on the cover is not exactly, but it's what I saw. And I knew, I knew, like, another gift to your audience, which I'm sure they're already dialed in on, is at some point, it's a really neat thing to do in your life to go, everything you've ever been taught is a lie, and then to begin rebuilding your information or your foundational base. And when you do that, one of the things you come across is you learn to start trusting your gut. The gut doesn't lie to you. The gut resonates. I know when I'm onto something, especially if it's really good, because the hair stands up my arm and I'll get the goose pimples, and I might even get emotional and cry sometimes. And that's how I felt when I saw that. I knew that I had seen a truth, and I'd seen something that everyone else says is a lie. And I'm an investigator. I'm a curious person, which I recommend for everyone. Keep your curiosity. Never leave that. Even the things you hate most, get super curious about it, if you want to figure out why you hate it and if you want to move beyond it. But yeah, curiosity is like wonderful. And that kind of just set me off on an adventure. And I would go on mini adventures with my family, with my brother. And this was all before you filmed it and everybody is a star, like it was just what you did, we went for funny adventures. Mm-hmm. But one of the hardest things about being a military person, or a person that moves a lot and never digs these deep roots, is when you get to school, you're lower than the weird kid, the stinky kid, the kid nobody likes. You're the new kid. So I spent a lot of time, getting bullied, getting chased, not having friends, wanting to make friends. And in that journey to do that, I played a lot of sports, which I recommend to people to be on a team. We're social animals. We need that around us all the time. Stress levels lower. You remain healthier when your stress levels are lower. But we would have soccer practice, always some abandoned building. They'd be like, oh, that building's haunted. 40,000 people have died in that building. Oh my God, no one will go in there. And at some point I was like, so if I go in there, I wonder if they'll like me. And it's everyone has a different parlay into who they are and what they're into. Well, mine was I wanted to fit in. I just wanted friends, And so I started going into haunted places. And at first it was for that reason, and I was scared to death. But then what I didn't know is that I was very slowly getting addicted to fear. Because what's on the other side of fear when you survive? Like any good Scooby-Doo show. You think it's this real monster and you find out, it's just an angry white dude. On the other end of it is this adrenaline dump, this rush, this, oh my God, like I feel alive. Think about our normal day-to-day life. It's fairly mundane until something exciting happens or you produce something exciting. Well, when you go look for Bigfoot in the woods, when you go into a haunted house, when you dive into deep, dark water, you get a rush that for some of us becomes highly addicting. And I've basically been pursuing that my whole life. It's like a healthy habit.
So Ryan, since then, have you worked to pursue more encounters? Have you tracked, or have you maybe connected with other people who are looking for Sasquatch? And of course, we need to cover the whole idea that, of course, most of modern society thinks it's all your imagination, and they would mock people like you who are looking at this. But then I would point out that every week there's a new science discovery of a new species somewhere on the planet. I mean, sometimes they're just microbes, but sometimes they're amphibians, and it's not unusual to find new life forms on this planet. It happens all the time. But what's your reaction to all that? And have you done other adventures?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to add to that, 2019, they found a brand new type of orca with a ring around its eye, an orca.
Wow. It's a big animal, right?
Giant squid. They're just starting to. Now they're coming online with massive octopus. But yes, of course, I've always pursued it. Once again, I didn't quite realize growing up like a country kid that I was also addicted to nature. So anything that would keep me in nature and keep me naturally just happy, I pursued. So we attempted, my brother and I, to get a show called Monster Brothers, which was what we were doing about our adventures. It did not go. We got real close though. But in the process of that, we met a good friend named I'm hitting the table again. Sorry. James Bobo Fay, who went on to be the biggest name, so to speak, in Bigfooting on Finding Bigfoot, the TV show.
Oh, really?
And I went, yeah. And I went and I worked on that show off and on for a decade. So yeah, I like to tell people I got my PhD in Bigfooting by working on that show. I met all the top names, was advised on all the top literature to read, all the best spots in the world, and interviewed, more importantly, thousands of people. I had to humble myself. Another wonderful thing about life, you'll be on the top of a mountain and then you will suddenly find yourself down at the bottom. And you're like, wait, I have to rebuild. And that's a major moment for us all. And we either rise or we hang out and enjoy our blue phase. Well, I accepted a job and I worked my way all the way back up from the bottom of that show to producing the final amazing episode of the whole series. And
wow.
Yeah, that was really rad. And on that show, I had numerous encounters. We call them Class A, Class B, and Class C. Class A is like you have a visual, like, oh my God, like there it is. And then you can hear it or feel its presence or be close, or you can find tracks, scat, different things. But yeah, that show was incredible. And for anyone that doesn't know either, Bigfoot is what we call a relic hominid. So we've been taught very briefly things in school about Neanderthal and Denisovians and Homo erectus. You've probably heard some of the names, but there was a variety of hominids, which is what we are, out there in the world. And we've been taught or led to believe that we simply outbred them and outfought them and just out-resourced them, and we're the only ones left standing. And there might have been some interbreeding. I call BS on that. I think if there are other versions of us, as intelligent of us, but actually more in tune with God's plan, Mother Earth's plan, whatever you call it, with nature, that they are living out there. Here's an interesting fact that people, they don't like to hear.
Well, hold on. let me get a question in here, because you're covering a lot of interesting stuff. So you interviewed thousands of people over these 10 years, and how compelling are the testimonials from people of their encounters?
Oh, absolutely. I always say it comes down to who you trust, right? Who you believe. You don't have to believe me. He's wearing a Bigfoot shirt. He seems to like, maybe you like more of a professor type, or you trust him. You will meet that person that you would trust on this subject if you were in the position that I was in. So literally hundreds of people every time for almost a decade. And most people don't want to share their story. Like what we are doing, like you alluded to before.
Really?
Yeah,
they're reluctant.
You have to have bravery. Oh yeah, this is America. We're the king of the shame game, right? Like everything's shame. Shame on you for going against the system. Shame on you for believing something that mainstream doesn't say is real, but it is. And we're talking about first responders, retired governors, firefight, like just people that, they get the call. The police officer gets the call. It's 3 a.m. There's an NBA player in my yard, and you're in Hodink, Arkansas. Is there an NBA game tonight? They're like, honey, there's a stadium within 3 hours of here. What are you talking about? We'll send someone out. And they show up and they see it. And it's just known that when you see something like that and you are on duty, you saw a black bear. That's exactly what, once you interview and you get deep enough into this rabbit hole, they're advised to say it was a black bear. And so there are a lot of people who hold that story. I mean, so imagine a dragon or a unicorn or a Bigfoot, and then you can't tell anyone. It's like the coolest thing ever, but you have to hold it. You have to keep the secret because you don't want to, be made fun of.
I have to ask though, why, given, how common mobile phones are with cameras and everything, and also for law enforcement, the body cams, right? Why isn't there a lot more very compelling video imagery of this?
Sure. Well, first of all, as you know, our heads are shoved so far up our phones' asses that nobody's going to see anything or pay attention to anything. And to actually be present and in the moment is very difficult. Our culture teaches us to worry about what's coming or be obsessed about the things we did in the past. To be fully present is a massive gift if you have it these days. And actually do an experiment with adults and kids, and you can do it. I advise anyone out there to do it. Get your group of friends together, have them all stand there, have someone go 50 feet away, and do it in the light. Remember, these things mostly happen in the evening. These are ambush predators that have learned to live at night. Just put that barrier in what you're asking, making it even harder for them to spot it. But do it during the day. Have everyone with their phones in their pocket, and then have the person, walk by and they try to get their phone out and shoot them. Nobody's going to get it. Have it in their hands, and still nobody's going to get it. Have the phone aimed, and you'll watch several of the people will hit the wrong button. It's almost impossible to do it. You literally have to have kind of the phone up and be already recording. And here's the other part people don't understand about this. When you have an encounter, it's like an accident. Like when you get into a car accident or something, it happens so quick that you find out what kind of a person you are. You fight, flight, or freeze in that moment. So if you freeze, you're not doing anything. If you get flight, you're running, you're not going to do anything. So maybe if you fight, but if you fight, you usually tense up and assume a position, and then it's over. So to answer your question, it is wildly difficult. I would say try to film a large cat if you catch one out of the corner of your eye, or any kind of apex predator that doesn't want you to see it. And you're just not gonna get it unless you're a Nat Geo specialist, camouflage, waiting for a week in the same position, It can happen. But now with the advent of AI, good luck getting anyone to believe you now, because
that's
the AI
true.
is getting right there, So
they're going to say it's all fake.
We're in a strange place. It'll go back to, who do you trust? Who do you believe?
So let's then transition from this. One of the things you mentioned about the relic hominids is that they are very much in tune with nature.
Very much.
Right. And then you have this interest in permaculture, which is also an example of being in tune with nature. What have you learned from your experience of trying, I guess, encounters with Sasquatch that you've been able to apply in your own life of living more off-grid, living more in tune with nature, producing more of your own food, et cetera? You might be one of the few people who has learned from another hominid species on this planet how to be a better human. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really, I never thought of it that way. I'd also like to thank all of the Native Americans that have bestowed their wisdom upon me. If you want to have a genuine Bigfoot encounter and you are able to put yourself in the right place at the right time, because they are out there, but it's not like us, just tons of us. You need to set your intentions. Okay. So whether you call it prayer, mind speak, telepathy, whatever, it's real. We're just untrained in it. I recommend the telepathy tapes. Just write that down. That will blow your mind. Enjoy that rabbit hole. But anyway, it's real. So before you go someplace that you're going to go camping, hiking, or visit, look at the map and visualize it and let them know. Say it's like doing a phone call to a buddy. Life is all about respect. If you can learn to respect everything and not be a specious, not be like, this is all here for me, doors open. So you respectively let them know, even if you think it's not working, it's working. That's all I can tell you. It's just like old school TV where it's static and you're trying to see it, between the lines. But the more you practice, the clearer the channel is, the frequency. So you do that. When you get there, leave an offering, leave a gift. What do you do when you visit someone's house? More for like the first time. You bring a bottle of wine, you bring a present. I bring organic stuff, but they eat everything. You know what I mean? The teenagers definitely bring a whole pizza, they'll eat it. But bring something, give of yourself to them. And then when you walk around, you're going to see these shows, you're going to see this stuff where you're trying to sneak around, like you're going to sneak up on somebody in their house when you stink, you're loud, you just breathe heavy, like people have no idea how out of whack with nature we really are. But let them know you're there. If you go to bear country, what do they tell you to do? They tell you to creep around? No, you ring a bell. You let them know. If they're not startled, once again, a sign of respect. And if you do all that and you happen to be in the right place at the right time, you could have a genuine experience. And all I can tell you is every time I have one, I'm a believer. I've had my Class A, Class B, Class C encounters. I still don't believe it. And in like that first second, you're like, it can't be real. It can't be real. You fight it because you have the collective subconscious of your community and your people behind you who don't believe it or don't want to believe it. That's how you respond. And then the joy comes in and the fear and everything else that
I can also imagine that. See, I'm one of these people that has a very sensitive sense of smell, and I can't stand synthetic fragrances and all the laundry detergent that people use and their shampoos and their sunscreen and their deodorants and their skin lotions. It's so toxic. I can't even ride in an Uber because of other people's perfumes and lotions and crap they left behind in the seat. I would imagine that Sasquatch, a creature, would smell a typical human coming a mile away, and they would be offended, like, get this toxic, stupid human out of here, because all they do is they wear clothes that are bathed in toxic poisons. I mean, does that make sense? Because that's the way I think about it.
Yeah, people worry. We had a Class A sighting on our property. Everyone in my family saw it except for me. And the first thing out of the missus's mouth, when you interview people, and it's been 20, 40 years since they've had their encounter, and like I tell you, as they go back and put themselves in that moment, the hair stands up, their pupils dilate. You're like, if you're telling me everyone's a classically trained Juilliard actor or actress just waiting to mess with me, then sure, yeah. But man, they experienced something. And when we walked over to the spot and I had my hand up, and this thing had to be like 9 feet tall, you could see it on her. She was like, "Are we safe?" That's the first, are we safe? Because you realize very quickly that this thing that is make-believe is real. And not only is it real, I mean, imagine if you could move like faster than the fastest human on earth, except, yeah, you're 7 to 11 feet tall and 800 pounds of just muscle. I mean, you are Thor, you are Grendel, you are the ultimate, the physical manifestation of physical godliness. It must be awesome. It's got to be the coolest avatar on earth if you're into the physical adventures that that are possible here in this realm. But yeah, man, anyway, we saw it on the property and it kind of blew her mind. And she was always supportive, but then she realized, oh wow, like this is real. And here's my thing, right? There's 2 things you got to shed if you want to connect with them. And this, remember, I'm trusting my gut, years of thinking about this. You need to not be afraid. Okay. Because would you approach someone who's obviously freaking out and scared? No, you in their space and wait till they calm down and then approach. And then the other thing is you're right. The synthetic fibers, the chemicals, we have been led so far astray from nature that yes, it's very obvious that in the woods we're like infants, And so with the land here, I'm bringing back native species, medicinal plants, all the different things that would grow here, where if you were nomadic and traveling and moving and following the river systems and doing what all the great herds used to do, what people move, you got to move your land, you got to see it, you got to ebb and flow with it like a great tide. You come across a little oasis and amongst all these pockets of man and their progress, and you come to a spot that's like old Florida. Yeah, I think that's a wink to them and a, hey, we think alike. Not only that, I'm respectful, and what's mine is yours. And if you need to rest here on your way through, by all means. I'm hoping that I can bridge that gap by shedding my fear finally, which that takes practice because, I was brought up by women that were scared of absolutely everything. So, even though I work on it, I'm still like, what was that noise? Calm down. And also just mad respect for nature and the land. Yes.
I'm not pretending this is in anywhere the same category of your experiences, but it's relevant. I live out in a ranch area in Texas. We have wild hogs all the time. And I get to see the hogs and sometimes like 40 little baby hogs and the mothers cruising around. Now, but I'm surrounded by a community of people that hate the hogs and they always try to kill them and shoot them. And I've never been that way. I've never understood it. Now, one night I heard what sounded like a hog fighting with something, and you know how they scream, or maybe you've heard that. So, I grab my AR-15. I don't know what's going on, and I rush out there just to see, because I don't want to see animals ever suffer. I don't know what's going on, and then I'm walking down this pathway, and then out of the grass, kind of like the 3 feet tall grass, comes a very large male hog with the tusks. And it just walks up to me like 6 feet away, and it stops, and I'm looking at it. I got my rifle, and I say, "Hi, piggy." and it goes, and it just runs back off into the grass. And I was like, that was really cool. That was like, I'm just saying hi because I'm out here in your space. Just saying hello, everything's cool. And I didn't have to use my rifle, but I had it with me in case something else was going on. But I say hi to the wild pigs, and people think that's weird.
No. Once again, respect. You're acknowledging, but you're not hanging. If you'll notice a lot in nature, nothing stares in each other's eyes like we do. That tends to be a sign of aggression. But an acknowledgement and a move on your way, that's it. That's about as simple as it gets. And if you were to build up familiarity with it over time, you could hand feed them. I mean, it doesn't take long to get into a Dr. Dolittle space, but that has to be your focus, your intention. It's all that frequency, right? Just dialing it in until they feel good around you. But that's an amazing encounter though, because I could imagine the rush, because those tusks, if that thing got a hold of you, that's not a hey.
But I didn't feel any fear at all. I have no fear of these wild hogs, and
wonderful,
because they've never been an issue. I've always had respect for them and all the other animals, whether it's raccoons, armadillos, the birds of prey, whatever. It's like, hey, you got a job to do. There's a falcon. I've always had respect for them, and sometimes talk to them. Say hello. You're communicating. And even if it's not the words, they can feel you. And I don't know how to put that into words without it sounding a little foo-foo, but you resonate at a certain level. And if you were calm, once again, they could tell you're not fearful. You're just, hey, how's it going, man? Having a good day? And he's like, yeah, and he's out. He's gonna go check on his ladies. So I think don't let anyone tell you not to try things. If you're into something, especially into nature, you like to talk to animals. Awesome. Like, it's so awesome. Don't let anyone, especially there's a lot of bullies. I've dealt with bullies, but we are the worst bullies to ourselves. We really are. And so you talk to every pig you see. And one day, don't be surprised if it talks back eventually. That's all I'm saying. Hey, it's, and also you learn from them. So I've learned that on my property, there are 9 sources of wild food. So this gets into the permaculture issue. And one of the ways that you learn this is by watching the animals. What are the deer eating? What are they nibbling on in the middle of winter when there's no other food? What are the hogs digging up here? So they root up these wild onions. And so, of course, I have to find out, what are these wild onions? And root them up, root up a couple of them. Sure enough, they're little onion bulbs, and you can cook with them. And they have like 20 times the nutrient density of anything from the grocery store, right? Uh-huh. So the hogs are teaching you something. You just got to pay attention.
Yes, and it goes back to, yes, Bigfoot, the pursuit of Bigfoot, who I believe is the ultimate nature steward and, like, role model for getting back to simpler ways of living, which are wildly complex as well, but just an easier life. You found your path back to it as well. I could, what you just described, I could see in my head as like a children's book. The pig led me to this all the way to my dining room table.
True.
We may enjoy it in different ways, but we both enjoy it. And that's common ground. I always say specious because we don't have to, but we should get back to where everything is equal. There is no life that has less value than ours.
Yeah. And if you just eradicate all the animals that you're afraid of, probably irrationally, you're never going to learn from them. And so your life is going to be less enriched than what it would have been if you had simply just allow these other animals to have their space and show you these amazing things.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so anyway, thanks for hearing that story. I
love it.
For being open, for me sharing that for you. Tell us about your food forest project. I know it's a work in progress, but what are you up to with that, and what's your long-term plan for it?
We want to be the little farm at the end of the road. There, we used to have, like, Christopher Robin's 100-acre wood out there, and it's almost all, but you'd say the last 25 acres or so, 5 of which are ours, are still standing. And, it'd be really easy to hate him. It'd be really easy, to be upset about this all the time and all that. But we have kids, and for me, kids has allowed me to try and be a little more omniscient, like stand back and kind of see the whole picture. And there's going to be 5,000 homes. There's going to be all these families and all these kids. And if I was a parent living in there, which I did for a little bit of time in LA, I would want to know that at the end of the road, just a half mile down the way or less, there's a farm with baby chickens, rats, birds. I mean, we got a little of everything here, and they could come and play. They could go pick their own eggs. They could get a little or a big taste of farm life. And we're right on the river, so we do cold plunges in the river. Not that it's kind of cheating here, the weather. It's never more than like 65 degrees, whatever. But still, it's wonderful. And we cold plunge and we dig in the dirt and we just spend time barefoot, like just barefoot. People wonder, I felt great after going to the beach. Well, there's a lot of reasons. It's not just the sun, which is awesome. And it's not just the negative ions, but it's connecting back to the earth. We're just like a big flesh antenna. And these are like simple life hacks that just help. Yeah. So even getting them here and letting them be a little wild, right? Like, where was it? Was it in the Netherlands? I don't know. They replaced the playgrounds. Remember, you probably grew up similar, like the wooden playgrounds with dirt and everything. Nowadays you'd be like, oh my God, that looks dangerous. And they replaced them with all these plastic ones. Well, they went back and they made it all mud, dirt, sticks. So these kids are a mess. Dude, the amount of times the kids got sick dropped by some crazy number. I have to look it up.
Yep.
But anyway, we're meant to be in the mud. We're meant to be interacting with that. These fun, cool clothes we're wearing and he smells good or bad. Yeah, that's all icing on a beautiful cake that doesn't need any, right? Doesn't need any of it. So yeah, we're putting the farm in, obviously, without digging too deep into it, food's getting a little crazy. They're doing things to food I disagree with. Everything's got sugar in it. They've gotten rid of bitters. It's just like, if you can, I think it's very smart of you to grow your own food and process your own food. Also, if you're going to eat meat, you should know how to deal with it. In my very humble opinion, trust me, I'm like you, man. I let ants out of my house on my finger. But I just had an amazing weekend, actually in Texas, working with vets and with PTSD, and we took them out on a hunt and all this stuff to just put that zest for life back into them, let them know that they're not alone, that community and the mycelium web of connections and friendships is important. And sometimes you just got to get pushed into that a little bit because we're all very adept with technology and everything at hiding and whatnot. But anyway, it was mind blowing, and where it really blew my mind was. I never knew hunters had such respect for animals. And I had to bear witness to it firsthand. I don't think anybody has more respect for animals. They truly, it's like, oh my goodness. But that's another talk for another day. But yeah, it's until you walk in other people's shoes, Don't judge. Just be curious. Curiosity is all you need. And we're talking about Bigfoot. So yeah, that's a tough one I can see for a lot of people. But just take off your slippers. Actually, go barefoot. Don't put any shoes on. Don't put my shoes are bare feet. And take a walk in the woods barefoot and hug a tree. Hug a bigger tree. Notice that the bigger the tree you hug, the better you feel. If you really get in tune, you'll notice that. Why is that? What is a walking theta state? There's just so many beautiful things. It's like the next golden age of discovery is right there waiting for all of us. And all you have to do is essentially get naked and walk outside. So yeah,
it's actually good for you to have all that sunlight exposure all over your body. That's therapy. Actually, that's medicine. I've often said that if you go out in nature, you can't point to anything that isn't medicine. Because literally everything from the tree bark to the leaves to the rocks, the minerals in the rocks, the microbes in the soil, the sunlight, the air, the water, the clouds. I mean, everything that you can point to in nature is medicine in one way or another. There are no exceptions to that.
Beautiful. Yes. Well, that's it. Just end it on that. That's all anyone needs. That's all anyone needs to know. Just get out in nature. Yeah, man. And I just a little caveat onto that, and I say this, and it's funny. But go solo camping. Ask yourself how many times you've been camping, but when have you gone by yourself? And you'd probably be like, well, never, or maybe once. Go by yourself. It's just like I would say, travel by yourself. It is going to invite a different version of you, which I would argue is the better version of you, out to kind of take control. And when you go solo camping, go someplace where, you won't run into anyone. So primitive campsites, whatever. And I would say, spend the day naked. And you'll realize how kind of caught up in, the 7 deadly sins. They gave that to us for a reason. And vanity is definitely one of them. But more importantly, you begin, like the last time I had gone, I was so scared to death of barefooting out in the woods, not on my property, but there. And when I really sat to figure out, okay, what am I scared of? I thought I was going to step on a snake. And then I realized that's my mom's fear. I'm not even afraid of snakes, but she's deathly. So I'm carrying that. And I was legitimately afraid. This is in the middle of the woods, middle of nowhere, to step on glass because I stepped on quickly. And I'm like, mother beep, beep, beep. I am afraid of snakes, but that's not me, that's my mom, and of glass, which happened a long time ago. And then what you get is you take that old beta tape out of that memory, put that down, and you slide in a new CD, DVD, whatever, of a new experience. So then I rebuilt that knowledge base on top of it. By the end of that day, I went from buck naked, tiptoeing around, scared of snakes and glass, to chasing those little squirrels and chipmunks that sound like elephants at night when they're moving through the leaves and you're scared to death, chasing them on all fours, rolling and laughing, having the best time ever. Peter Pan is such a profound work of art because, there is some point where we forget fight, flight, freeze, but I add play. Because play is how we learn the fastest. Play is how we feel the most comfortable. Play is how we connect best. And somewhere along the line, our culture beats that out of us or compartmentalizes it. So I'm a tennis guy and you're a basketball guy. Yeah, I would play. I'll come watch you. No, you're an everything person. If you can maintain the curiosity and the physical fitness enough to engage in any type of play when people introduce it to you, I think you're winning at life. 100% winning at life. And you can bring that mindset into the woods because you need even less to play. Like one experiment I do, I put like a trash can, so a metal trash can, I take little rocks and I just throw it at it. So that when I go to bed at night, if I'm there and I hear ta-tink, ta-tink, I know that something is throwing rocks into that. And therefore it has to be something, most likely, opposable thumbs, and with the ability to mimic. So it would be Bigfoot. It hasn't worked yet. But I keep trying it, because it's play. Or bring a big tire into the woods and I throw it. I just throw it as far as I can, hoping that they see it and they're like, oh, silly human thinks he's strong. And then they just, they throw it so far I can't find it. But yeah, play. Never, ever, ever lose your ability to play. And if you see things, especially difficult things, I don't really want to do that. Figure out how to transform it into something that you would consider play, and suddenly you're in.
That's so key. It's interesting. Gosh, we have some interesting parallels here. So yeah. I set up a workout outdoor gym in a forest on my property about a year and a half ago. And it's kettlebells and it's a push-up bar and it's a pull-up bar and that's it. it's just a few things, but I can do everything that I need. And I realize I never want to work out indoors again. And, and then what I found out was, in order to work out year round, you really have to be dedicated to the temperature variation, hot days, cold days, picking up kettlebells with gloves in the winter, or rain, right? Or whatever it takes. And I've only missed 2 days, I think, in the last year. But I also realize we live in a society where everybody's in these artificial constructs all the time. Even the gym is fake. You're tricking your body into thinking you're running, but you're on a machine that's not even moving. It's like, what the hell?
It's so weird.
When I run, I'm moving. I'm watching. I'm seeing. It's like a 1 mile loop or whatever. But at least the scenery is changing. I can see animals, and my dog runs with me too. Well, a couple of dogs. And sometimes they chase rabbits, and sometimes there's an armadillo encounter, and sometimes I see a turtle that's moving from one little pond to another, right? So my workout is different every time, and there's no membership fee. So
very nice,
right? And I'm not breathing in other people's toxic fragrance, sweat, spike protein stew, or whatever that crap is, right?
Yeah.
So I want to share that with you, because working out in the forest feels like going home. Working out in a gym feels like some artificial construct. That's my experience.
No, 100%. And finding how to get yourself hooked on it, because this is a temple. We've been gifted this, and we should come to worship this every day. I love that you're working out in nature. Yeah. The other thing is, like, be okay with being uncomfortable. It's temporary.
That's right. Right? It's okay.
They have us so caught up on leisure and like having to be comfy, cozy all the time. I'm like, I don't know about you. My best stories always start with me being the most uncomfortable.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes.
For everyone.
That's right.
Yeah. But dude, I love your workout thing. I love that you have that outside. A lot of what you say, I can just visualize. So thank you for that, because we should do that, you know?
What's funny is I have a whole set of kettlebells, and so some of them are very light, and then, goes up to like 60 pounds. But then one day, I'm like, there's a kettlebell missing here. It's one of the smaller ones. Where did it go? And it turns out I also have donkeys on my property, and the donkey gripped it and moved it 50 feet. And I found the light kettlebell in the forest on the donkey path next to the donkey poo. And I'm like, donkey, caught you moving my kettlebells. So, because donkeys like to play with toys.
Oh, yeah.
They play all the time.
Yeah. Oh, so you have a mini hobby farm, yeah?
I mean, I've got all kinds of different animals and space to run, and nobody bothers me. It's great.
Congratulations, sir. I'm very happy for you and your family. It's awesome.
Oh, it's for me, that's a dream come true. You couldn't pay me $1 billion to move to a city.
Yeah,
no way.
I always told her, all I wanted was a porch and someday a yard. Like when we lived in LA, I just had to for work, and that's where we lived first. But I took a kiddie pool, put dirt in it, got grass growing in it, grew vegetables.
Good for you.
Oh, my family was gonna have the soil one way or another.
That's right.
But never always be optimistically excited about what's coming next, because I don't know if your audience believes in manifestation. I didn't, but we used to stare at this beautiful image, this tapestry of a jungle. And we just stared at it, and we would have our coffee and hold hands. And it was, it's like a moment of reflection and love before starting the day. And we stared at that bad Jackson for over 3 years. And then when we came to this house in Florida, the only house, sending each other houses like crazy because we were getting booted from the property. They were going to sell it. We're going to be homeless with 3 kids. I don't think so. And she goes, I love it. Go check it out. And I walk out on the back porch where it's screened in and it's framed, and I just freeze. And the motion just starts rippling out of me and down my face, because I realize I am staring at the tapestry, but for real, in our price range, in a place we. Oh, those are one of those moments. And the best part about that moment is not that I will always love that moment. It will stay with me forever. Like when you have a Bigfoot encounter, is because my mom was standing right next to me. And I know my mom, and she was like, "You're not moving here. This place is too in the country. You're going to get eaten by crocodiles. This is the worst house." So she was so opposite of what I was feeling. But, it's mom. So you just like, "I love you, mom, but we're going to get it." She's like, "Oh, God." It turned out to be the best thing ever, though.
Oh, that's great. So you are out in the country quite a ways, huh?
Well, we're not, we aren't. It felt like that more, but as you know, development in Florida dude, the Big Lennar project, they had like 80 across everywhere. They only ended up sticking with 2, I believe, and we're one of them. I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
But, right? But what if for a second I wasn't obsessed with controlling everything and understanding everything, and I just learned to ebb and flow with life, and what it throws at me, maybe I need it. I just don't understand why I need it. But maybe there is a calling. We are building the first Bigfoot food forest in the world here at the end. It's like we're the final stand where we're like literally they can't chop anymore or they're in the river, So we're the last outpost at the end of civilization. Although I don't know if I call it that, but you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, we're meant to be here. We're stewards, and we're gonna be like a lighthouse, and we're gonna shine bright and do it with a smile and with love and to the best of our ability, and hopefully we make a difference, and there becomes more people like yourself working outside, no matter the weather, loving, raining on you, and I don't know. I think that's sexy and cool. I think being in the dirt is sexy and cool. I think believing in things that people I trust and appreciate and love, they tell me it's real, and I honor that by trying to go reclaim that truth. You live in Texas, so I'm sure you've caught some pretty big largemouth bass. When you get that first 10-pounder, 10-pounder, you're hooked for life. And all I can tell you is that first time you're out there and you make a call and you hear it call back, even if it's far away and you've never heard one before, you'll know it's different. You'll just know.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Like, wait, are we? And you'll be like, are we safe? It's like, dude, yeah, we're totally safe, But
okay, you occasionally have events. I see on your website, maybe you have some coming up that are too close to plug, but from time to time, do you have like here, you have a gathering here? Do you do
this
events?
weekend? Yep. We're doing our very first CE5, which is, for those people that don't know, it's just group meditation with the intent of bringing in alien craft. Or in this case, we're also going to attempt to communicate with Bigfoot in the woods. I know telepathy works. I'm not saying I'm good at it or anything, but I'm practicing. And there's something about doing it in masse or with a group. The only thing you really need is everyone needs to be into it. So I believe that the more everyone's into it and wants it to work, it's like having faith, then it does. And I have experienced it. And it's very strange when you're just looking at the sky and you're like, okay, this is going to work. We're all going to meditate. We're going to focus and do a few drills. And then the lights start to move and you go, wait a second, wait, this is working? It's really neat. Once again, I invite people to play. Step slightly out of your comfort zone and it will light you up like a Christmas tree. So yeah, we have a CE5 and we have events at least once a month where we have everyone come over. And like I was telling you, we incorporate lots of things to it. Not only do you get into the dirt, but we allow you to stand and share. Just being seen and presenting how you feel about something in person, not over the phone, through all these different mediums, is wildly cathartic. Like you just feel better doing it. We have the long hug goodbye. So, we're not just supposed to, they moved it to where we fist pump now. We used to handshake, hug. Dude, when you hug the people you love, hug them for as long as you can. I did hug therapy research. I did it on my grandmother. I used to come down. She just wanted to die after my grandpa passed every day. And I started hugging her and she wouldn't even let me hug her to start. She'd be like, okay. And I just refused to stop. And I remember the morning I came downstairs. It used to be a dark, gloomy kitchen because her energy, that was her house. And she would see me and her heart chakra would open. She would present to me, and that room, no one touched the lights, but it got brighter in that room, and she would embrace me. I did it with her. I did it with my special needs friend who also didn't like, and he's trying to turn me into the cops all the time. And the cops were like, Ryan, are we really going to have to arrest you for hugging John Ross? And I'm like, yeah, I think you are. And wouldn't you know it, even he turned around and now he's a hugger. Dude, we all, in our culture, they've just taken away non-sexual touch. It's like the only people we hug or embrace or hold hands very long, you have to be in like a certain type of relationship with them. But no, let's get back to the dance halls, sitting on porches and playing music and wrestling and just We got to bring touch back. We're
it's humanity. That's the
yeah,
common theme of what we're talking about here is getting in touch with our world, with ourselves, with our communities. And that's what I love about what you're doing. I mean, you have a great attitude, you're adventurous, you're curious. You know, everything you're doing is leading people down a path of exploration, because we don't have all the answers. None of us do, right? We're all adventurers. We're just trying to figure out how this whole cosmos works, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and also the portals, the Farnsworth, is it the Farnsworth Adventure? Well, the TV and the radio, they're guarded, and the stuff that goes through it is processed by a small amount of people. So it's important for people like yourself and Corey and I to have these things to talk, because there are some people out there that actually want you to become the best version of yourself. You're not my enemy. You're not working, even if we're working on the same, even if you're another Bigfooter and you want to do all the things I'm doing, I will give you all my wisdom. I will lift you up. The day we switch from who has more, like you drive a Ferrari, well, you know, I drive a Bentley, like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of crap, to, I help this guy.
That's so boring and stupid. Who cares?
It is so
Who cares? Yeah.
And yeah, it's uplift. It's social uplift. And we do that. We're here to serve each other. And it's funny. Find me one person that's figured that out and doesn't say, the more I give, the more I get. Find me one, because that's what's on the other end of finally becoming of service to your fellow man and women. And it's wonderful. And, you know, you got to make your money. You got to do things along the way. And yes, you're competing for certain things. But at the end of the day, we're one, right? You're my brother. You are. And I love how wildly successful you are. And I love that you have this powerful voice. And anything I can learn from you, I'm going to learn as much as I can. But I'm also going to share that wisdom with others so that they can hopefully take it even farther and be even bigger and even a better impact, leave a better footprint on this world. I don't know. There's no reason really to fight with each other. There's too much to learn. There's too much play to happen, you know? So
yeah, absolutely. Well, but I was really struck by what you just said. You said, I have a powerful voice. I never see it that way. I never see that I have a powerful voice. I see that I'm just a small little piece in this whole giant machine of cosmic consciousness and intelligence that's everywhere. And I've even said, intelligence is distributed everywhere. It's everywhere. All you have to do is observe nature, and you're going to see miracles every day. But I don't consider myself to have a powerful voice. I'm just curious like you. We're just, you know, we're just trying to figure it out and share with other people along the way. And maybe humanity can, you know, mature and advance little by little, or sometimes in great leaps. But that's all this is for me. I just do this because I love to do it. That's why I'm glad to have you on.
Well, you have found power in your adventure to share with the world, and it's important. I think it's great, and staying humble is great too. That's one of the nice things about getting older, and also going into a restaurant and needing them to turn the lights up a little brighter because suddenly
to read the menu.
Yeah. No, but that's like, it's like seeing the really big guy and he's a sweetheart and he protects people instead of being a jerk. You know, someone who has found success like yourself, you haven't gone to the dark side with it. You know what I mean? You've remained rooted to the ground, and like I try to tell people, we're all equal. Like everyone has different experiences, which is wonderful. But if you see anyone else, and I don't care whatever condition, they are equal. That's where you just got to get to and start, and then start building everything up. And if you build it, they will come. I mean, dude, eventually here on the property, I don't know if you've ever done a Tough Mudder. Okay, I know exactly how far I can make it in a zombie apocalypse before my legs give up. All right, that's all I can tell you.
That's
my favorite part. But my favorite part about it was like the little micro events. You know, you got to climb a wall that's 20 feet up and over on the other side, and walking like a woman in a wheelchair with the assistance of everyone, got her up and over the top. And I'm sitting there crying, going, "This is real life. This is real life. This is how we all want to live. Why are we not living like this?" But I'm going to build a mini one here, because it's also, what would you have wanted when you were younger, right? I always. I spent a few teenage years pretty angry at the mom and dad, just so angry, right? I needed an outlet, and I want to build a mini one of those here. So ideally, you know, anytime, if they need to, before you hurt yourself, before you hurt anyone else, before you say something that, you know, you're going to feel bad about later, come over here and run the course. And you're not competing against anyone else. It's just you go do the course, right? And there are many ways to bring yourself down, but I would love that. I would have showed up at 2 a.m. I would have ran that thing until my arms fell off.
No kidding. Well, keep us posted, please, about your progress there, because that's the kind of thing we'd love to have some video of and share the story of that, and help make people aware of what you've got going on there. We're out of time for today, but I just want to say this has been a really amazing, fun conversation. It's great to meet you and to find out what you're doing, and I really appreciate you spending time with us today. Yeah,
and Corey wanted me to say hello. Of course, He's actually here, still working. We're mulching, just mulch, trying to build up soil. It's all sandy. But you've been an amazing mentor in his journey so far, and he's only like 25. And he speaks so highly of you that is why I took this. I was like, really? You want to talk to me? I mean, I'm a weirdo, but okay, I guess. But thank you, because I get to work with him now. And when good people, good mentors, I don't believe there's any such thing as bad children. It's just bad parenting. So I'm going to, if anyone's having trouble with the kid or whatnot, remove them from your parental bubble and also get them out of the United States and have them go experience another culture, and then have them come home and you watch what kind of a man or woman comes home to you. It's incredible.
Yes, exactly.
That's my final gift, but thank you so much, man. This is awesome.
Well, Ryan Golombesky, everybody, and the website is bigfootflorida.com. And he's speaking about Corey Engelot, also a brilliant young man who I've interviewed several times, and he's got just an incredible future of promoting natural law, natural freedom and liberty, and so much more. Also, permaculture, living off the land, things that we all believe in. So thank you so much, Ryan. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon there in Florida, and keep in touch. We'll talk again soon.
Love you, bud. Be well.
All right. You too. Take care. And thanks for watching, everybody. Mike Adams here at brightvideos.com. And now I'm going to go, I'm going to go into my forest gym after this and take my animals and, get a little bit of sunshine and fresh air and all of that. Check on the mushrooms. I found some mushrooms that I really liked in the forest. They're orange, and I decided to propagate those onto some logs so I can see them when I'm working out. And they're growing. So I've become a mushroom farmer, also with kettlebells for some. These aren't even edible, I don't think. They're probably poisonous to humans, but I like the way they look. So I just started propagating mushrooms. So anyway, I'm gonna go do that. You do what's best for you, and stay informed and watch more videos at brightvideos.com. And thank you for listening today. Take care.
Manuka honey is one of the world's most nutritious superfoods. Harvested from Australia's pristine bushlands and forests, Health Ranger Select Premium Manuka honey has guaranteed levels of MGO and NPA. Shop at healthrangerstore.com.